This Monday, July the 8th, is the first day of Mercury in retrograde motion. He is joining Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto, who are also already in retrograde motion, such that the outer elliptic of their orbits, which from our standpoint on Earth, as we see them, it makes it appear that they're moving backwards. They're not, of course. But at the moment that they turn retrograde, as Mercury is now, they appear to be standing still, and we experience this as sort of a laser beam focus. Messenger Mercury is the first rock from the sun, and so he is the fastest planet, the one we could say is lightest on his feet. And so he's going to take us on a 30-day journey until July 31st, sort of down into the dark caves of our memories, because we're going to experience these travels as though we're going through the land of Deja Vu. And this is really good news because nothing can heal until we bring it into the light. Hi, I'm Judith Royal, and I'm an archetypal astrologer, and this is your astrological weather forecast for the week of July the 8th through the 19th, 2011. So we have a lot of very poignant aspects this week, 4 in particular, not just Mercury in his first week of retrograde, but this is also the week of the first quarter moon testing point that comes this Tuesday, July 9th. And we're going to be asked to tune into the sort of graceful aerobics of balancing the scales of justice. And we'll do this with a lovely Libra moon. Her vibes, her energy resonates beautifully with showing us how to walk the tightrope of diplomacy and cooperation in your relationships without losing your footing. Now, Tuesday, the same day of the first quarter moon testing point, is also what I think I could call wet blanket day, because it is once a year we have a standoff between the sun and Saturn, meaning they're 180 degrees apart. So this is a day of caution, in which I'm going to say to you, do not get discouraged about the authorship of your life. It really does belong to you. But at this time, you may feel the wet blanket of authority figures as kind of oppressive and suffocating. But don't let that get you down. It's definitely temporary. And these wet blankets, well, speaking of wet blankets, it's also this week going to be very risky business to cover yourself in wet stuff. So throw that wet blanket off, because just like as if you were in the shower or the bath or just using a metal faucet, you help the electric current, like lightning, sort of jump right into you. And you don't want to do that this week, and on particular on Thursday, because these negative ground-to-cloud flashes of lightning are going to show up, and they're going to show us where high-risk behaviors have actually become dangerous. And that may not be your behaviors. It can also be the behaviors of people around you. And always for clues, remember, you can look at the archetype, the way it manifests itself in the macrocosm on the world stage. We're all just actors playing our roles, right? And the fourth thing I want to make you aware of for this week is coming Sunday. So this will sort of be the wrap-up for this very significant week. because on Sunday, the sun, still in Cancer, is going to be opposing Pluto, who is in Capricorn. And this energy can often turn into very obsessive, compulsive behavior, obsessive thinking, compulsive behavior. And it stirs up that green monster jealousy. But remember, jealousy is simply when you see someone else doing something that in your heart you know you also could be doing, but don't. And it also stirs up vengeance because Pluto, ruled by Scorpio, Scorpio is a master of getting even. And so we're maybe going to have some fantasies, not acting on them, of course, but of how we're going to get vengeance on some wrong that we still carry with us as a resentment. So that means also that this week is going to be just the right energy, just the right vibratory resonance for you to let that go. So what days will be your best potential for doing that? This particular week, we start Monday with that lovely Libra moon, and we're going to have Libra air, and then that we're going to move into Scorpio water, Sagittarius fire, and late Sunday evening we'll get the first of Capricorn earth that will start the following week. So this means in the big picture, we have 3 planets in fire. We also have the big 3 still in earth signs, Saturn, Pluto, and Uranus, the god of lightning. And we have 3 planets in water signs, Sun, Venus, and Neptune. And I have to say, once again, we have no air. So those of you, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, you may still feel like you're suffocating, or that this is not the week that you want to go scuba diving because you don't feel like you want to depend on a place that doesn't allow you to breathe. So nevertheless, earth and water are a wonderful combination, and so they are very compatible. And fire doesn't have any air to combust with this week. And the fire that we have mainly is the Leo fire because of that retrograde Mercury being in Leo. So with the messenger planet in Leo, it will be as if your words halt and catch fire. It will be like they just sort of are suspended in the air in front of you, which means you get a really good look at them. I was thinking, have I ever seen, or do I have in my mind an image of lions and lionesses looking back over their shoulders? And I really don't. I don't think that probably happens very often in nature. Rather, I think after a very satisfactory hunt, these regal Leos retrace their steps back home. And that's what we want to do. They go back home to the sanctuary of their pride, of their tribe. And their alert antenna, of course, are still there as their early warning system. And, the lunar sonar we always have, our intuition, is the same. It's like our early warning system. But the stealth of the crouching tiger, the crouching lion, the hunter, well, that energy stands at ease now. If we pull back our lens and get the big picture, what we'll notice is that the quarter moon this week is the midway point, the halfway house, so to speak, of our journey between 2 eclipses. So remember, we had the first solar eclipse. It was a new moon, a new beginning, on July 2nd in the sign of Cancer. And if you took note of what was happening with that the sort of home sweet home Cancer energy, you may have had a memory or a daydream come up of a love gone by, someone that was very special to you in your life, and the memory of it smelled comforting like those just-baked chocolate chip cookies. So now Mercury retrograde is also going to take us back into some memories. And depending on how much work you've done on yourself, some of these may still unearth, some dark memories. And again, remember that's so that you can bring them into the light in your awareness so that they will be healed. Now, the next eclipse is going to be July 16th. So we're between the eclipse of the 2nd and the 16th. And the 16th is going to be extraordinarily important. Why? Mostly because it will be in the sign of Capricorn, which I've been talking about that energy so much. So you know already that means this moon in eclipse will trigger that big tipping point that is coming in January of 2020. So we get another unveiling of another layer of what is ahead for us personally. So again, I'm going to ask you to sort of think of yourself as being, on Animal Planet, but remember the Capricorn symbol is the powerful mountain goat. And for this climb to the July 16th eclipse, the moon is going to, she's going to overtake on that climb first Sheriff Saturn, sort of bumping into him, but quickly moving on. And then on that same day of the 16th, 10 hours later, she is going to very sure-footedly catch up to and pass powerful Pluto. So that's going to energize our acceptance and even welcome of the profoundly transformational and very personal epiphanies that we're having at this time, and especially will have on July 16th. Now, what can happen is we can really see the way in which our life is changing so that we are repositioned in exactly the right foothold or platform that we can rest and allow our light to shine brighter than ever, because it's going to be so needed in the world, because the dark side of this July 16th event is the ego's version, of course. And the ego's version is of sort of ruthlessly underhanded tactics, in particular to gain wealth. The choice is always ours, of course, but the focus on Capricorn security, because the mountain goat is up there on the top of K2 because of being far-seeing, being able to see what's coming, including predators. And Capricorn's version of security is often financial. So this transformational energy is going to play out that way in the world. And again, it can go two ways. First of all, it's just a very risky business now certainly not gamble, but it's risky to be in debt, to be financially overextended. That is something that Capricorn energy is not resonant with. There is a discord there that's being illuminated by those Libra moonbeams this week. And the discord, the stress points are internal for us between what we think we want and what we believe we deserve. So perhaps we think the goal we've set for ourselves, we know we really want it, but maybe we're not aware of some dark cavern in which we really don't believe we deserve to have it. So we're resolving both of those things so that by integrating them and seeing the truth in ourselves, we open the door to this marvelous abundance that is just waiting for us. Let me share how this is coming to me personally. Last week, as that energy was building towards the first eclipse, I noticed that on the world stage, there was a lot of drama about climate change, etc. And so in my meditation, I asked my favorite angel, the one who walks with me every day, I said, what is happening to this rock that we're standing on, this big earth? I mean, we were having news here in California of earthquakes and so forth. And so I said, what is happening? And the answer I got is that the world is indeed heating up, that the psychic friction between dissatisfaction, the unrest that we have between how we know it can be versus how it seems to look right now. That I feel that dichotomy within myself, where I know the beauty of the love that is possible between all peoples. And yet I look outside at the world, and sometimes what I see most is the discord and even the violence, the unbearable heat of all of the conflicts. I saw an image of the world, of our globe, literally wrapped and held in the arms of love itself. And I saw that the knowledge we have, that love is the answer, it's the only answer, we all really know it, and that knowledge is becoming closer and closer, held closer and closer to our hearts and our minds, and is descending into the very core of our being in a body on this earth plane, where the ego would love to rule with the power that says God is dead, that love hurts, that there's so much pain and misery. But it's not the truth. And it is going to be harder and harder for the ego's version to be believed, even though ego always screams louder and louder, right? However, it absolutely can never drown out the quiet, loving voice that is inside all of us. And so the ego's escalations, the ego being the pretender to the throne of power, is just a bunch of, well, as Shakespeare said so long ago, sound and fury signifying nothing. And the practical thing we can do right now to be our own everyday hero is to practice forgiveness and to really know in your heart that there is nothing, absolutely nothing that you think you have done wrong or held against yourself. There is nothing that isn't already forgiven. And so you give that message to everybody that you can think of meeting who might be prone to be lost in their own guilt. Because after all, the stones that we throw at our chosen scapegoats are our own guilts, right? That weigh so heavy upon us that we're sort of frantic to get rid of them ourselves by aiming them and throwing them at others. And all the while is only our own imaginary self-hatred. So, Know that you are the light of love and shine really brightly this week. So thanks for listening, and I'll be back next week with that next big eclipse for the 16th. And you can always get in touch with me at judith@judithroyal.com. Bye for now.